You need to make bad films. Actually, you will learn way more from making bad films than from making good ones.
Today, we are not talking about the tools or the software. We just want to understand what actually shapes a filmmaker. Some are shaped by time, by school, by doubt, by research.
We normally say a film is written 3 times. Yeah? Forgetting the number of drafts you as the writer wrote, so you have that as the 3rd rewrite.
Yeah.
I blame my bro. I blame my big brother. I totally blame my big brother. Thought I was gonna come out of film school and become a Scorsese. Did that happen? That did not happen. Otherwise, this podcast would be in my
asking
house.
for a friend.
The other thing film school taught me is to understand the business side of things. If you have a budget of $1 million bob and you do a movie for $1 million bob, you should see it's not a life or death situation. Like time yako itakam sasa zile time yako itakam.
Welcome to Beyond the Timeline podcast. Season 2 starts now. Today, we are not talking about the tools or the software, but we just want to understand what actually shapes a filmmaker. Some are shaped by time, by school, by doubt, by research. And that's why I have my guest here, Atajitambua. Welcome.
Okay, hi guys. So my name is Ambalwa Muchesia, Hilary Ambalwa Muchesia. But the English name, we gotta cut that. So my name is Ambalwa Muchesia. Most people out there just know me as Cheki Ambalwa. So I'm a writer, director, editor, and colorist. So that is predominantly what I do. So yes, and I'm also a lecturer at the African Digital Media Institute, which is basically the premier film and TV training institute in, I think, East and Central Africa. So yes.
Naona uko na accolades, my friend.
Yeah.
Haujatuambia movie kadhaa zenye umefanya, umedirect, umefanya nini?
So I've worked on a few films. I wrote and directed a film on Mnet Showmax called Matatu. And also I did cinematography, editing, color for a film called Kijani on Mnet as well. And then also I was one of the writers, actually. I was one of the writers and cinematographer, colorist for a show called Dagoreti that was airing on TV47. And I've worked on a bunch of documentaries, a couple of music videos here and there, and yeah, just the usual grind that every editor, director does. Yeah. So yes.
Interesting. You've mentioned these movies, ikanikumbusha our actual interaction in the film space was actually when we were doing Dagoreti, and I was doing the behind the scene.
Yeah.
And nilikuwa tu nataka ku understand something. How would you describe what you do without the title in itself?
What I would describe what I do without the title itself, I think it's a little bit, I don't know. For me, what I love about film, because I'm essentially a cinephile. I love movies, I love cinema. So essentially, I love movies and cinema more than TV shows, more than live productions per se. So I love film, I love cinema a lot. And what I really, really like, I'm addicted to the concept of writing characters on a page, and then that whole process of transforming them into actual living characters that people fall in love with and have an emotional reaction to on when they go and watch it. You know, sometimes people feel sad, and then sometimes you have critics at home, no, he would have done this, they should have written him like this. So I just like that process of creating something and then bringing it to life, and then people having a reaction to it, be it negative or be it positive. So yes.
And I don't know, was it your film or which film where, I think when we were doing Matatu, just to mention that you're the one who gave me my first assistant editing job. And I remember while I was cutting, I don't know if it's Matatu or Kijani, I had a very huge conflict with the writer because there was one character that was killed when I felt he should have not died. I don't know which
well, I think was it Matatu? Yeah, was it Matatu? No, it can't be Matatu. I think ilikuwa... it was Matatu where we I think during the opening, there's somebody who's killed a bit early in the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a character I had really
Yeah, but now
invested
here's my
in
question. Here's my question, Stan. Here's my question, Stan. So some of the things that which is something that that is really intriguing or interesting, because
Yeah.
you see, when we write stories, even the writer doesn't really understand the movie. Even the director doesn't really perceive the movie. The first person that experiences a film in time is the editor. So essentially, the editor is the first audience.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, you are just having an emotional reaction, whereas you're not supposed to have an emotional reaction. But towards that end, my thinking is,
Yeah.
as an editor, when you're cutting a film, remember you're cutting a film according to a script.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that, you're cutting a film according to a script. But at the end of the day, you're also cutting a film according to how you feel.
Yes.
Yeah. According to your feel.
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially what I normally do is that I normally cut what the director wants. Cut what the director wants according to how it was shot and how the script is.
Yes.
And then I make another cut. We just build another timeline, and then we adjust this cut according to how I feel.
Yeah.
And then when the director comes to watch the first assembly, we will show him the first assembly according to the script.
Yeah.
And then after he watches it, I'll be like, okay, so that's what the script says, but this is how I felt. Because sometimes you're cutting a story, the script is saying this, but you feel it should go on this other direction. Maybe you feel like, niaje, hii movie ingekaa poa sana, kama instead of us opening with that opening scene, how about if we open with the final scene, and then the whole movie explains how we got there. So we can rearrange these scenes according to how I feel.
Yes.
Yeah. So in most cases, you show the director what they wanted, and then you show them what you want.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But essentially, my idea about filmmaking is I forget the director who said this. I don't know if it was Kaminsky, or I really do not remember the director who said it.
Yeah.
But he said, for him, he loves editing so much that he considers every process prior, like shooting, writing, to him it's just a basic.
Like the pre-pro now.
No, not even pre-pro. For him, it's just a basic necessity to get footage to cut.
Wow.
You get. Wow. So I think editing is interesting in that sense.
If you ask me, I think it shapes the narrative, just like we say. It brings the story now to a refining moment where the audience can now relate to what the director wanted them to see, but now can actually put a direction to it.
Now, although as I said, we normally say a film is written 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah. Forgetting the number of drafts you as the writer wrote, possibly when you're going to production, maybe you're shooting your 6th or even 7th draft.
Yes.
Like when you were doing the Goriti, I think we were shooting the 8th draft or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
8th draft.
So you have a lot of drafts.
Yeah.
But that is the first stage of writing. But then you have another stage of writing, which is directing. Which when you're on set, this is what the script says, but we're going to modify it according to the factors that we meet on the ground. They could be budgetary, they could be weather related. You could have a myriad of factors that affect production.
Yes.
So the director will have to be flexible enough to adjust.
So that's the second writing.
That's the second writing.
Okay.
The third writing now is you as an editor.
Yeah.
As an editor, like, yes, this is what was written, this is what the director wanted, but this is how it feels it should go. Yeah. So you have that as the third rewrite.
Yeah.
Yeah. But although generally I normally request editors, I think editors need to have, and this is something that I teach a lot of my students, is editors should have the power of speaking into the script. Yeah. And by speaking into the script, I mean that editors should try and get hired earlier, as opposed to this thing where they go shoot a film and then they bring you a film.
With you.
Yeah. So I think editors should be involved much earlier before production, because they also have thoughts and ideas
that they can contribute.
Yeah, because you might have a scene that says, that over explains and does all this and has all these lines of dialogue, but you as an editor, you have the experience and you're like, you know what, instead of us having all these lines of dialogue, how about if we just have a look? It could be a simple thing as a look that kills like 6 lines of dialogue and says more. Because remember, at the end of the day, film, the cardinal rule is show, don't tell.
Yes.
So if you can cut dialogue for visuals every day, every single day, choose that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Now let me ask you, how or when did this? Because I'm trying to imagine you did not just bump into film, you did not just bump into directing. But how did that turn from just being something you were interested in to something you felt could be more now, to an extent that it's now a career for you?
I blame my bro. I blame my big brother. I totally blame my big brother. So my bro is an artist, is a rapper.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, when I started out, I think when I was in high school, I was doing a lot of photography. Just like pictures, like every other person. Possibly you normally start in photography.
Yes.
And then when I finished high school, I was doing a lot of visual effects. After Effects.
Yeah.
After Effects. Getting templates, messing around with templates and stuff. And I was also doing a lot of graphics because I was making like posters and album covers for my bro, Akina Calligraph, just a bunch of people. So I was doing a lot of posters in the hip hop side of the industry.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went into color grading. I started using DaVinci when I didn't even start using DaVinci. I started using a software called Color. It was by Apple.
Color.
Yeah, it was by Final
I've
Cut.
used-
They used to have a
used
software called Final Cut Color.
Interesting.
It was like almost like DaVinci. It had different rooms for different things.
Yeah.
And then I got a hold of DaVinci. I think it was DaVinci 8 or something. This is way back. It was way back. Yeah, so I started doing color. So since I had a connection to the industry, because now my bros, I was hanging around a lot of So Fresh, and then there's Gish, and these guys have a lot of artists. Akina Kali, Kevo K-Force. So guys were shooting their videos, and I was getting a chance to color grade them. So I was doing a lot of color. But what I noticed real quick during coloring, and is that I really hated the edits. I didn't like the edits because unapewa edit, color grade, and
so you're not the one editing
I'm
them.
not the one editing. I'm not the one shooting them.
Okay.
I'm just coloring them.
Yeah.
So didn't care much for the editing. So I decided to start editing. Like niaje, and then mshoot hizi video zenu mnilete ni edit. And bro, I was so dumb because I was editing in After Effects. So you can imagine. And remember, my computer was slow as hell. Uko na comp hapo hivyo yenye iko na 4GB RAM. Una edit wase wana jam na wewe like mazee, mbona umalizi
Mimi
job
mpaka saa hizi siget mtu ana edit kwa After Effects.
Bro, I didn't know. Mimi ni software nilikutana na I never met Premiere. Mimi nilianza na visual effects, nilikuwa nazifanya kwa. And in visual effects, you're dealing with shots that are like, I don't know, 10 seconds.
So it's quite easy.
And then unapewa sapo project yenye ni 5 minutes. Kwanza, kitambo music used to have 3 verses. Wacha siku hizi, we normally have 2 verses. So songs were about 4 minutes, 5 minutes long, trying to cut them in.
Almost a short documentary.
Man, it was stressful. But then that worked because I edited quite a bit. And then after that, after editing, of course, I found Premiere Pro, which was God sent for me because now I started using Premiere Pro and dynamic linking with After Effects, which made ilinifanya nika stand out kiplani because wase wengi walikuwa tu wana edit. But mimi nilikuwa naweza edit, nikaongeza ma graphics to graphics hapa kule, so unakaa nikawa ni that nigga.
I get
And then after a while, so I started editing a lot, and then the usual bug. Una edit and then una feel niaje, say wana shoot stuff. The shots are static. Unaona? The exposure is all over the place. Sometimes people shoot with auto exposure. So you're trying to color grade it, but then man, you have to basically manually adjust all these places because it's auto. And the character anatembea na ni auto, so the exposure is all over the place.
Focus ina shida.
Sasa zingine una jump mpaka unaziturn to black and white, unasema ni aje, it's creativity.
Wacha tu ni confess, niko na music video nyingi nilifanya na nilikuwa nawaambia tu hiyo idea. Mwanzo ni creativity. Jamaa ameenda ameshoot kwa reli. Saa 7 jua imewaka na ni mweusi,
akona marakuna.
You try being creative with your color, it's not working.
It can't happen.
You try LUT.
It can't happen. And then you get into that whole LUT thing. So I started editing, so I didn't like that, so I started shooting. And then when I started shooting is when everything like connected. Because now I understood like niaje, I have to shoot my music videos during golden hour.
So now you understanding
si shoot kitu yoyote past saa 3. So nitashoot golden hour. Let's waste time between 9 and 3, and then if we have anything else, let's pick it up from
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 that,
3.
yeah.
So hapo ndo nili really pata the aha moment, and then from that so things just progressed, and then so I did a lot of music videos, and then what really got me into shows, so this whole time I'm moonlighting doing music videos. I remember there's a time we've done a bunch of music videos. This is now back in the day. Kulikuwa na show inaitwa The Beat, DJ Pinye.
The Beat
Sijui
on
kama
NTV.
unakumbuka, on NTV. So you've done a bunch of videos and you have some videos on The Beat. Na hadi ni Beat of the Week. But unaziwatch unashinda jo. Hizi videos ziko kila mahali, but there's something wrong with them. Yeah? And you don't know exactly what it is. You know they could be better, but you don't know how to make them better. Back then sikuwa na understand anything about lighting. Okay. Wana ulikuwa ukipata light unadu nini, unaweka mbele ya character, unawasha. So you are not lighting creatively, you're lighting to illuminate. Which is new fala to unaga. So me, I remember I took my music videos to that time kulikuwa na chuo inaanza, ilikuwa inaitwa Jamhuri Film and TV Academy. Right now it's called ADMI. So the owner alikuwa anaitwa Big Willie, like his greatest guy ever, basically a mentor, like he was all that. So
big up Big Willie, big up.
Like he's that guy. So like me na shoot hizi mavida misijui nini mbaya.
Yes.
And that's how I joined film school.
Which was going to be now my next question.
So
but
that's
now
how I
that
joined film.
So I was just gonna ask you, did you go to film school or you learned it this other way? But now that you've mentioned you went to film school, the question is, what did you particularly expect, or what did you think film school was gonna give you?
I thought I was gonna come out of film school and become a Scorsese.
Wow.
Right?
Did that happen?
Unajua like nazee nikitoka film school mazee mimi naenda kuwa that dude. Yeah. So that did that happen? That did not happen. That did not happen. Otherwise, this podcast would be in my house.
I'm asking for a friend.
That did not happen. That did not happen.
Okay.
So went to film school, of course, and which is a bit of a. It's a bit nuanced, because if you go like the film school I went, it's a film and TV school. So kuna wase wanadu live TV na kuna wase wanadu film. Yeah. But then live TV had so much money making potential. Because my classmates were like directing Churchill, like some of the biggest technical directors for live productions. Those are my classmates, but I really don't care for live productions. Hizo kufanya ma streaming na nini za chat. I can do it, I just don't. It doesn't light my fire.
Yes, I get you,
so me, I went the film route, but the problem is the film industry in Kenya is not even an industry. It's like it's something
community, asako, a cohort.
It's something flani kona politics mingi. Like you need to be in cahoots with these guys. You need to be, and me, I don't do that clicking up. So it wasn't very fruitful for me. But when I came out of film school, what happened with film school is that one, it connected me to the industry, because the guy I'm telling you, Big Willie, was really connected. So he was so connected that you could just name drop him and you'd get accepted. You'd like, mini student or Willie, so you could name drop him and get gigs. So out of film school, did a lot of commercials, a lot of ads, my ads, Safcom, sijui nini, unaona. So in the ad space, ndo vitu zilianza kuclick, okay, because with ad space, like there's proper budgets.
True.
And since there are proper budgets, you find like proper lighting, you find
so
like
you
proper
can try these other ideas.
And the other beauty is, my ads zinakwaga mingi, and the beauty of them is at that point in time, we did not have enough cinematographers in Kenya. So we used to get a lot of cinematographers from South Africa and from India. And kwa maad, mara mobo ulikuwa kienda unakuwa an assistant. So unakuwa second AC, msee mwenye, we job yako ni kumind lenses, kumind gear. Unaget? Ama una pull focus. But as a result, you're pulling focus for this director this week. Next week, you're doing for this other cinematographer. So you really get to learn. You really get to learn, because every time you're having conversations with them, you start to learn and you start to understand where the potential lies.
So in that view, looking at it, what would you say then film school actually gave you, and what would you say would be the shortcoming of film schools to those who would take
So
such a route?
film school, what film school does, film school makes you understand the fundamentals.
Okay.
Film school makes you understand the fundamentals.
basics.
I don't want to call them basics. I want to call them fundamentals. Yeah, because basics makes it sound like it's something that you will progress over.
Okay.
But fundamentals is something that you're going to be using all day, every day. So these are your fundamentals. Your lighting, your fundamentals must be you have your 3-point
lighting.
You have your 3-point lighting.
Yeah.
Your fundamentals are your camera is always going to be on the shadow side. So these are your fundamentals.
Yeah.
So your creativity is layered upon the fundamentals. So,
or even not dealing
exactly.
with them particularly.
The other thing film school taught me is technique over technology. A lot of us tunakwanga gearhead, like YouTube videos, you need an FX3, you need this, you need that.
Lens,
if you go to film school, you will understand that any camera that shoots, let's say 4K, is good to go. Provided it shoots 4K and 10-bit, you don't need anything better than that. Come on, crave anything better than that, you're just spoiled. If you're in film school, you will understand for your low budget production, you can only really do two things to make it look high budget or high end. You need to care about your lighting and you need to care about your production design. If you sort these two things, you can shoot it on your iPhone and it's going to look like a blockbuster.
Production
design and lighting. This is assuming your story is on point. This is assuming your story is on point, your actors are on point. But these are the two technical things that if you really needs to get drilled into people. So I think film school taught me that. The other thing film school taught me is to understand the business side of things.
Okay.
Because anyway, if you're not making money, it doesn't make sense. So film school will make me understand. If you have a budget of $1 million bob and you do a movie for $1 million bob, you didn't make business. That's nonsense you're doing. Yes, your film looks good, but how did you blow $1 million bob on a film? If you have $1 million bob, you need to produce that film with 500 Gs. How you do that, shauri yako. Ndio 500 Gs ingine kwa profit zako. So film school taught me the business side of things, how to create pitch decks, how to create mood boards. These are the things that are harder to learn on the streets. On the streets itakuwa hard. Before streets will understand to create pitch deck. Before hata understand story ya mood board, before you understand color theory, itakuwa ngumu kwa streets. So the school really taught me the technical elements and the foundational elements of things.
Does that interpret in how you look at stories on a daily basis now from what you've just talked about?
Yeah, definitely. Because you see, remember me when I went to film school, I was doing music videos na zilikuwa na stories hapa kule. Zilikuwa zina suck. But you don't understand why your story doesn't work.
Why?
Because you can have a good story, but a good story is not necessarily a good script. So not good.
There's something Monique used to tell me when you guys were having a writing session.
Monique is my producer. Best producer on that.
There's something Monique used to tell me, and anytime I tell him, "Hey, Monique, by the way, I think I have an idea, a story," and he'd tell me, unajua si kila story lazima ikuwe short or lazima ikuwe told. You need to know why a story needs to be told.
Yeah, because you need to sit down and, like, let's just even forget the politics of story. And a story needs to have 3 acts. Sindio? It needs to have your first act, your second act where your rising climax, action na kila climax icon, and it needs to have your conclusion. Sindio? So story yako kama hit is the 3 beats, why are we telling it? So no. And that is just one thing. Your story needs to have beats. The positive, negative, positive, negative. Otherwise you don't have a story. Unaget? Some stories must have subplots. Okay, not must. Ideally, stories should have subplots. Because if you don't have subplots, Stan, have you ever been cutting a movie and then you're cutting into the same thing? Like the whole thing is so chronological. Like in a sense, like uko na lead character, kitu inamhapenia, ana react, so you're just cutting into the same plot line.
That does not give you a background of anything.
Not even a background. It does not give your audience a chance to absorb what happened. So something happens to your lead character. Let's say your lead character. Let's take a film like Sixth Sense. This is one of my favorite, M. Night Shyamalan, I think. So it's a film. Bruce Willis plays the character of a child psychologist, child psychiatrist. So the film starts with him with I think it starts with a home invasion.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a home invasion and they attack to the wife. So will I be spoiling this film for guys who haven't watched?
Wait,
I can't do that. So anyway, if
Give us
something
this point.
if something happens to your character,
Yes.
if something major happens to your character, let's say even like you're texting the lead character. Let's say we are doing a movie that is trying to sensitize people about the dangers of using our phones while we are driving.
Okay,
So you're driving, and you're talking to your wife on the phone, or you're texting your wife on the phone.
Yeah.
And then something happens, you have a car crash. And then you don't have a B plot. So what is going to happen after the car crash? We are going to cut outside this car and
see
just
people
continue
coming.
following this story. But ideally, if you have a B plot, if you have a B plot, we can cut back to your wife at the house. She was texting you, but she had mpango wa kando on the side. So she was texting you and then suddenly you went mute. She got her chance to cheat. Yeah, so unaona, so tuko na hizi plots mbili tunafuata, inatupatia breather. So saa zile tuna deal na hii, saa zile tuna deal na hii, tunaifikisha hapa, tunatoka tunaenda kwa hisi nyingine, tunaifikisha hapa, tunatoka tunaenda kwa hisi nyingine. Yeah, kuna koga na two things, kuna koga na kitu inaitwa meanwhile back at the while you're editing. So this thing happens, and then meanwhile back at the house, this is happening. And then meanwhile back at the road, this is also what's happening. So it makes editing easier. Otherwise,
totally
ni rahisi kujipata na an edit that is boring. I've had quite a few of those, and these are things that I only learned when I went to school. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, if we go back to you as a writer, or you as an editor, as a colorist, at what point do you now start feeling that as a cinematographer or as an editor, I now relate to what this thing is, not from the technical point, but from the emotional point, like you say, you need to feel an edit.
I think from the emotional point, you have pacing. We know about pacing,
yes,
yeah?
Yes.
So pacing is everything in a film. Pacing is, and these are things, I didn't even understand pacing when even we were doing Matatu, I didn't understand pacing. It's that bad, yeah? So pacing is something that you really need to understand. Sometimes it's almost like an internal rhythm, yeah? It's almost like an internal rhythm, like you feel like niaje, sai my film needs a cut, yeah? Sai, my film needs a cut, no, we need to hold on to this shot longer so that we can get the emotional perspective of it. But then, I still didn't, because you might have this internal rhythm, but you cannot depend on internal rhythm. So at the end of the day, pacing is musical.
Okay.
Yeah? Because music has a clear rhythm, a clear beat. And you can use it to follow for you to create your pacing. So me, when I'm editing, I always edit with temp music. Yeah? So if I'm editing a scene that is emotional, I will look for a scene in an existing movie that has the same emotional depth and emotional weight, and then I will jack that music, put it in my edit, use it to cut my edit. Yeah? And then, so I will have all this music from all these different places. And then when I'm sending it to the guy to do sound, I will just give them with this temp music to serve as a guide. Yeah, like niaje, because it's not even serving as a guide for anything else, creativity or anything. It's serving as a guide, the rhythmic, the tempo, the pacing. Hiyo tu ndo nataka mse wa sound afollow. Hizo vitu zingine anaweza fanya kitu anataka, but bora tu to maintain the rhythmic pace of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So emotion, all this is all about the pacing.
Okay. Yeah. So we can largely say that a larger part of you is gathered from film school.
I got a lot from film school.
Yes.
I got so much from film school. I had some awesome lecturers. There's a lady out there called Naima Mungai. She's possibly the best production designer I know in the country.
Wow.
Naima Mungai is awesome. But other than being a production design lecturer, she really helped us understand how to analyze cinema. Yeah, she made us see, because you see, cinema has a lot of subtext. Cinema has a lot of subtext, and this subtext is what an untrained eye will never see.
Take us through this subtext.
Subtext is like, let's say, have you watched like Godfather? I don't know if it's part 2 or something. Michael Corleone, the Don has died, and Michael Corleone is having this christening scene. So the baby is being baptized in church. Yeah. So, and in church there's this scene where hopefully you will edit this in and maybe it will
I can
give
add
more
that
context.
in, yes, yes.
So Michael Corleone is in church, and the priest is like, do you, Michael Corleone, denounce the devil, accept God the Father? So denounce the devil, Michael Corleone is, yes, I denounce the devil. And then we have an intercut with the other side
And the
as Michael
baptism is
Corleone's
taking-
guy. No, this is during the baptism. He's in
Okay.
church with the baby.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the other side, like I denounce the devil. We cut to the other side, one of his goons cocking a gun and killing a member and a don of a different family.
Okay.
Denounce the devil, I will follow, blah, blah, blah. We cut
they're
to that
bringing
side.
the
Yeah,
contrast.
so contrast, that is juxtaposition.
Yes.
And the juxtaposition gives a subtext. Or another, something that is subtextual is like, I feel like there's a film about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So the president, we see the president in his open limo, right? And then when the president reaches the grassy knoll, the footage goes to a black screen, and then we hear a shotgun being cocked. And then the next visual we see, we don't see the president's brains getting blown out. Instead, we hear the gunshot, and then we see birds flying away from a building. And then now you see that is editing that now has become poetic. Because the guns signify his brains being blown out. The bird signify, you could say it signifies freedom. You could say it signifies an explosion.
Yeah.
So it signifies a lot. So these are things that are subtextual. You will not learn that on the streets. I swear to God, itakuwa ngumu. Itakuwa ngumu sana. So yes.
So would you say, now that you've also interacted with creatives or filmmakers who have had to go their way through the journey, not through school,
Yeah.
would you say that your journey or your way cost you in a way?
Of course, there's the financial costs. The financial cost. Film schools tend to be expensive by default.
Yes.
Tukiangalia Kenya, in fact, I would say the only film school you should go to is ADMI.
Wow.
Or you could go to USIU for the degree program.
What about Kenya Film School?
You could go to Kenya Film School.
Okay.
You could go to Kenya Film School. There's some brilliant guys who come from Kenya Film School.
Okay.
Sindio?
Kenyatta University also has a
No, Kenyatta University is there as a theater. I think it's something theater. I don't think it's a purely film program. I think it's a theater and stage or something.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So there's the financial cost.
There's the financial
but here's
cost.
my argument. My argument is that if you're learning this thing on the streets, which is also, the streets is also actually really good. But if you're learning on the streets, it's going to take you longer. So there's a time cost. So school will crunch the time, but it will cost you money. The streets will take away the money, but it will cost you time. Yeah? Because let's say a typical DP in the streets, what the journey is going to be, they're going to be grips and spark, then they will progress maybe to lighting, then they'll
AC.
progress to second AC,
Yes,
then they will
first
progress
AC.
to focus pulling, and then
DP.
now they can become the DPs. And then there's that, and then other than that, now they also have to learn editing. They know nothing about editing. I've trained so many guys who've gone through this path, and then they've become really good DPs, and then they can't edit anything. But you see now in film school, you have all these units. You study editing, you study sound. So you come out when you're well-rounded. Yes, you will specify your skill set, but you will have an understanding of all these other things. So mtu hawezi kubullshit. But kama unatoka streets, utakuwa umeshootio kitu vinoma, uli graduate into a DP on the streets, and then editor anakushinda anakupigisha lap za ufala na uwezi jam ukamwambia ni aje nipe hiyo footage utaiedit mwenyewe. Unaget si ati ujui kitu, you're just
It's your learning curve.
It's your learning curve. So the learning curve on the streets is steeper, but the cost is lower.
When it comes
But in
to
school, the
financial
cost is steeper,
but
the time is definitely shorter.
That is interesting.
So
Now,
there's none which is better than the other. It's just different.
it's different. And you said you going to film school. An expectation you had is coming out as
As a Scorsese
as a
or something.
Scorsese.
Right.
So Have you had moments in your career whereby you felt like, man, me I'm done with this thing? And what really brought you to that point? You're like,
Yeah. I've had moments where I've said I'm done with this thing. Yeah.
Tell us about this.
But mazee sasa hatuwezi chomea broadcasters feature.
Twende.
Hatuwezi chomea broadcasters
Broadcasters pia
feature.
wanala.
Because you see, as far film is really disheartening in Kenya, yeah, because the budgets are not there yet. Yeah, the budgets are not there yet. So what happens when you're given like 2 million bob to do a movie, and your production house still needs to make money off that?
Man, 2 million bob.
2 million bob. It's hard. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Actually, it's impossible for you to. So
probably a short film. Probably
a short film can work.
Yes,
and this is like a 15-minute short film that you shoot 2 days max. Yeah. But you have a film where you're shooting 7 days max. You have a crew and cast of about 50 people, and you're blowing through, let's say, about 400,000 per day.
That's very difficult.
Hautafika day 7. So the problem is you're going to cut the budget. Kwanza umake do yako. The minute uta cut budget kumake do yako inaanza kuaffect everything down the so your film is butchered. Hata mimi nashinda tukiongea hapa juu ya matatu nini. Our films were butchered. The idea is dope, but the execution is just not there because the budget does not support the kind of execution you need to have a proper budget. Alafu sasa the worst part ni ati kuna mse atawachi movie kwa platform alafu atatype hapo chini mazee Kenyan movies suck. So like, well, it sucks ndio lakini bro, alafu unajua sasa kuna hii side ingine
and you're also not there to explain yourself to
alafu unajua sasa the other part that is really messed up is as a creative, as a filmmaker, as a creative, you understand that you need to make these shitty films.
Yes.
You need to make bad films. You will learn way more from making bad films than from making good ones.
Totally.
Like me, niko sure. Like
but not making bad intentionally.
Apana, bad is never intentional. Bad is never intentional. You just need to have the presence of mind to soberly analyze your work and realize, shit, hapa ningedu ABCD ingekuwa way better. Stan, I can tell you, we worked on that movie with you as the assistant editor. Yes. There are ways zenye tungefanya vitu tungezifanya very different if we had the budgetary support that we needed.
That is true.
That is true. So it's always a budgetary thing, but my argument is always fail forward. Never be afraid to fail. Make the bad films. Iko nini? To make you mbaya. To make you mbaya. To figure out, because anything worth it is a growth process.
Yeah.
Everything worth it is a growth process. Sai unadu show yako iko on YouTube. I'm sure you're not looking at this episode or the next episode, but you're projecting that in a number of episodes, you're going to be big enough to sustain a better budget, better sets, bigger things. But you can only do that. You need to. My mom always says like, fail haraka, or fail the next one haraka, and then sooner or later, utaanza kuchip away at the nonsense, and then now you can get to the goal. So let's make bad films, blush about it, kuwa shy about it, but still do the next one. Choma picha kwa zote, choma tu picha ukisonga. Never feel some type of way because your ego, you feel like you should have done a Hollywood level production. Yeah? Do that production with what you have. Use what you have to get what you want. You cannot miss what you've never had.
That is very true. But make sure you're learning through the process.
By default, if you make something bad, you will learn. By default, you will learn. Unless you have the presence of mind. Forget feedback ya wase.
Yeah.
Forget feedback ya wase. People can be assholes in how they give their feedback. Unaget? Wewe mwenyewe ukidu self-analysis yako, understand. Kama mimi nikidu self-analysis yangu ya film zangu muona, shit, nikiandika hii script ilikuwa deadly, ni vile hatukuiachieve vile tulikuwa tunataka kuiachieve. We did a show called Dagoreti. The script was so dope. We were technically not at the level, both budgetary and skill-wise, ya kuproduce hiyo script.
You feel?
Hatukuwa hapo bado technically. Wacha mchezo. Hatukuwa hapo bado technically. You're going to have Protisa on this podcast, yeah?
Yes.
Ask him this question. Technically, we were not there yet.
Yeah?
But we had everything else. Ni vile tu, tulikuwa bado hatujaiva kufika hapo, but that does not stop us because of that production, say I can write a movie at the drop of a hat. Yes. I mean, writing is the easiest thing ever, but that is because we wrote so many episodes, refined our writing for so long. Say tunaweza produce a low budget production easily. Me kwanza If I don't have a budget, the first person I'm going to call is Moniki. Cheki Moniki Snado.
We need to do this thing.
Patani. Because I've been through the trenches with him,
Yeah.
and we've understood how to handle low budget productions.
Yeah.
Unaget?
Yeah.
So for us it will be a bit easier than mse mwingine huko mwenye ako na imaginings kwa mind yake yenye asipopewa 5 million for the movie.
It's no
But like instead of like figuring out how it works, ata run around like a headless chicken. So unaget? So you learn things.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Now, if someone asked you whether to go to film school or not, what would be your immediate answer? Film school or not?
Hey, that's hard. So I'd say this. For the certification, if you want to treat this as a purely stereotypical career,
Yes.
for certification purposes, go to film school. Because unaweza kuwa wale wase wenye wanataka uende degree, ufanye masters, ufanye PhD, and then ujipate kwa hizi mabodies zenye zina make sense. You want to be head sijua KFCB nini.
Yeah.
You need the education.
Yeah.
You need the education. But if you're struggling to make that money, me I'd say struggle to make your dough by gear. You will learn so much more from doing than from learning. I always tell people that education does not guarantee success. Education guarantees education. It does not guarantee success.
So the key was thrown.
The practicality, practicum, ndio ina guarantee success.
Yes.
So ukishoot na ushoot. Usikuwe na gear pia ilale kwa keja. Unaona? But I can guarantee you, like there's a test I always give my students who are willing to. Like get a camera, hata phone yako. Take a picture every single day. For those who are trying to develop the eye.
Yeah.
The cinematography eye.
Yeah.
Take a picture every single day. Go ahead, like get rid of your pods.
Yes.
Yeah, get rid of your pods kiasi. Ukiwa kwa matatu, look out the window, see how the light falls, blah blah blah. Start taking pictures. Ukiwa tao, take a picture, but take a picture every single day and document them. And then come look at these pictures at day 60. You will see the progression from picture 1 na picture 60.
Very true.
Your eye, it'll grow. But why? Because you're taking a picture every single day. So same thing applies. Kama unataka kulearn film, kama utaenda film school, get gear. Na ukiget gear, shoot something every single day. Hadi siku ya mwisho.
Yes, until you feel now you're ready to move to
Na
something
kama
else.
if you can't write and everything, don't worry. Just there's a book called How to Copy Like an Artist, or there's a documentary on YouTube. It's called Everything is a Remix. Everything is a Remix. Find it on YouTube and watch it. Do not be afraid to copy.
Yeah.
Copy. Find a scene yenye nakubamba in a movie, copy it. Do everything exact. Tafuta kama wardrobe yake ni hii, si unaona wewe umevaa hii colorway ya green orange.
Yes.
Copy everything exactly, shoot that scene. Na kesho copy ingine, shoot that scene. With the time, you will understand all these fundamentals and they will become a part of you, and then now you can stop copying and then find yourself along the way. So that's what I would say. So if you can, go to film school. If you can't, work your ass off.
Dano umesikia? Very quite informative. My question would be now, if you were to start all over again today.
I wouldn't go to film school. Ngebuy gear ni shoot every day. Because unajua nilikuwa na shoot every day either way.
Yes.
Okay, not every day, but nilikuwa na shoot. Ninge shoot every day. It would have taken me longer to make my first film. Because I have friends who I was shooting music videos with and they've never done a film. Unaget? Niko na wase wenye wajai do a long form project. Unaget? Like even acha hizo. Even think about this.
Yeah.
I think we were with you when you were doing that show, Fresh Buzz Friday.
Not really.
Hatukuwa tuna work so much, but tulikuwa tuna fucks around. So when we did Fresh Buzz Friday, it taught us one thing. One thing that we really learned is the power of compounding.
Okay.
Yeah, because Fresh Buzz Friday, understand, we were doing a show. A hip hop show, where we were getting these artists, creating a song from zero, interviewing them and shooting a video and dropping the video every Friday.
It was a complete show.
It was a complete show. We're dropping it like every Friday to drop. matime ilikuwa na kwa stress, maybe mna drop sato ama nini.
But si tulikuwa tuna consume to the videos,
No,
the music videos.
It was a whole show. If you watch the show, uta notice kulikuwa na interviews, alafu music videos huko mwisho. The music videos were the end of it. So get. So what I learned real quick is when we were doing that show, episode 1 ilikuwa meh, but by the time tulikuwa nafika episode 4, the show was looking like really, really good. And it was even easier to produce. Maybe to issue ilikuwa vitu kama fatigue, nini, but technically tulikuwa tumeget really better. I mean, tulishinda, I think, best alternative media with was it Hennessy? Tulishinda best alternative media, but I would say it wasn't because that whatever we were doing was so novel, ama ilikuwa so crazy. It was just because tulikuwa tunaifanya na volume. Like kila wiki sisi tunawadrop ya like 3-4 artists on a song together, and imagine lazima make beat, lazima mgeta wase kwa studio mwa record, lazima wasanii wa kujeset, na unajua tu hizo logistical end, it was out of pocket. Hatukuwa na financer.
I think I can relate with that challenge because hata immediately after I came from Rwanda nilikuwa na hii 7th series project, 7th Sense, where I was also releasing a YouTube video every Friday. And hii wiki yote tuko kwanza nichague ni poet mgani, tuko na producer, record beat from scratch, master, understand, get a day to shoot, edit and release all in 1 week.
Na wase wanakuambia sijui hawana fare, watafutie fare.
Wacha hata fare, kuna wenye wanajua unawagonga tu. Kwa hii production yenyewe hakuna kitu unapata, kuna mtu anasema unatukulia. Like it was so hectic.
It was stressful. So I can tell the fatigue was there, everything, but I can bet you that is the time you grew the most as an artist. I can bet you hiyo ndo time uli grow the most as an artist. Hata utacheki na iPod, hata na iPod yako. Everyday releases una realize tu yani una grow.
That is true.
So I think so if you're not doing the stereotypical school thing, try and drop something every single day. It's hard, but just try and do that.
That's the cost.
That's the cost.
Okay. Now, is there something that you learned later in film that you think you could have learned sooner?
The thing that I learned later that I could have learned sooner is have some grace. Have some grace for yourself and have some grace for others. Like, do not be too harsh on people. Unajua earlier, tulikuwa kwa harsh, unaona content ya msee, unai-critique vile inafaa kuwa better, vile inafaa kuwa nini. But then you don't know the factors.
These challenges amepitia.
You don't know the logistical factors ziko in between. So have some grace for people and then have some grace for yourself. Like, don't be so harsh on yourself. Usijudge too harsh. Like, understand it's just part of life. You live and you learn. Yeah. So have some grace for yourself more than anything else. When I get positive self-talk, you'd rather be positive and wrong than negative and right. So just be positive, have some grace for yourself and have some grace for others. We tend to be too harsh out here. The world is kind of fucked up, maze. Tukwe tuna some grace to people. Skiza wa say, you never know, you learn everything, you learn from people all the time. The other thing I would say, for creatives, indo kamerangu, sindio? For creatives, we are not special. Sisi na fundio viatu, hakuna difference.
Totally the same.
The way they have a skill where they're cobblers and wanaweza shona kiatu, ushangae, what the hell? It's the same way you have a skill. We are not special. We walk around like we have gold on our head. It's nothing special. Like,
genius.
This is just a craft you've chosen. Respect the craft. That's it.
But I relate with Da Vinci. Many were talking about Da Vinci.
Da Vinci the artist, the software.
Da Vinci the artist.
Yeah, but
so that's why I'm feeling great. That's why.
But even Da Vinci was not an asshole when he was alive. Creatives are an asshole. Like, why? It's not necessary. It's not necessary. And speaking of Da Vinci, when him say Premiere, delete your software.
Take me slow.
Delete.
I cannot color grade in Premiere Pro.
Delete. People, delete Premiere Pro. Delete that software.
We are not marketing Da Vinci.
This pod is not sponsored by Da Vinci. I'm a huge Da Vinci fan. Delete Premiere Pro, bana. We are not supporting Adobe.
Now, to before we come to our final word,
yes,
I would like to understand. what keeps you emotionally grounded to your work now that you understand first the different facets in which you get to the level you've got through, either through film or just through this other thing?
For me, what keeps me grounded, and this is for me, it's a bit personal. For me, what keeps me grounded is my big bro.
Okay.
My big bro is an artist who's been in the industry for a while. So my big bro has been in the game for a long time, and he's a legend in a sense, but not a star in the stereotypical sense. Unaget? So anakwaga msee mwenye ako very level headed, ako very, so ni ule msee mwenye uniambia constantly like ni aje, we mazee keep doing what you're doing. So sometimes unajua unalala usiku 3 umekosa usingizi, unajishuku, una feel like the world is against you. The world is not against you. Just have some grace for yourself. So so he keeps me very level headed about that. So I don't know what I would do for the guys when ni ma single children huku nje naona huruma, bro, get up, bro. Because it's really hard. You need somebody who has gone through this journey mwenye at least anaweza kukeep. Unaona, and it's really hard, especially it's really hard because the problem which pisses me off about artists when they become, and I don't mean music artists, filmmakers, nini, when they become successful, they have this air of I don't know what the word is. Superiority complex. I don't even want to call it, okay, it's not ego, but it's almost like they do not, a lot of them do not make the people wenye bado wako huku nyuma wa feel like niaje.
We can also make it.
So most of them are like, yeah, fuck it, mazee me, unaget. So you need somebody mwenye at least anakumake una understand like niaje. Shit, it's not a life or death situation, like time yako itakam sasa zile time yako itakam. Unaona, na hii ni problem ya for those of us who went through 844. It was such a competitive field, so we came out of the industry na huku nje tuna operate na the same competitiveness. The cake is big enough for everyone, but mse akisha make it kwa ile tabia ni kama mazee Stan. Mazee na kupindulia mgongo while in Stan kama if shit yako pop off, it's only right unipigie simu niambia Ambalwa kama ubishe hii mlango. Kwa hii mlango kuna something. So let's have some grace. Let's have some grace.
Okay. And one last word for the listeners.
One last word for the listeners.
One last word from the listeners.
Tufuate pod, like, subscribe, comment so that this thing can get on the algorithm. But like, comment, subscribe. It's really important. Sindio, to like, to comment, to subscribe. Let's support the pod. Sindio, it's been real.
Thank you guys for watching, and I hope there's something umelan from this conversation. If there's anything you'd like to ask or to follow up on this conversation particularly, leave your comments below. We will share up your contacts as Ambalwa and how you can get in touch and network.
And give me money. Get in touch and give me money.
That's it. Asanteni sana. Until the next one, kwaherini.
Thank you very much. See you. Peace out.
You deserve a love that doesn't rush you, that waits for the right focus before pressing record. You deserve a love that chases every moment, adjusts the ISO in the dark and still captures magic. A love that plays with light, breaks rules and plays with angles until every shot feels like true. A love that understands motion because some stories can't stand still. They must move, breathe, dance. A love that knows when to widen the aperture to let more of you in, your fears, your dreams, your unfinished ideas. A love that turns sound into emotion through microphones that don't just hear, but feel. This studio is for the brave, the storytellers, the ones in love with creating. Bring your vision and we'll meet it with passion.